So this one's gonna be a weird one. Um, I don't even know where to begin, but I mean, I don't know. So a while ago, I wrote this short story for our advanced fiction workshop. That's the one I'm in, right? I think. I don't know, whatever. Fiction workshop. It's basically about this young woman who is totally, completely like lusting after this guy who's way, way older, but also who she thinks has a wife. It turns out by the end he doesn't, but the point is she thinks he does. And so the thing is, it's like she does not want him to act on anything. Like, she doesn't want him to come near her because she values integrity. You know, it's an attractive quality for her in men. But at the same time, she keeps testing him. You know, she keeps like wearing these short clothes or, like whatever. And like, she's testing him. And for what? For why? Because she just wants to see like if he's a good person or not. And it's so interesting because but like if she says if he were ever to cheat on his wife with her, she would immediately lose all attraction for him. And I wrote this, and at the time I wrote this, I didn't know what I was thinking or whatever, but oh my god, after all this time, after so many different chapters of my life, and I realized earlier today, I just realized that it's a reflection of me. Like, I do that. Like, if there are, I remember a couple of like weeks ago, this one friend of mine was trying to ask, like, oh, would you ever like sleep with a guy if he already had someone? And I gave her this long, super long, weird answer that I still think she thinks I'm nuts for. But here's the point. Like, I when it comes to being attracted, I don't particularly give a fuck if someone has someone else. Like, that isn't going to matter. If I'm falling for someone, I'm gonna fall for them no matter what. Whether or not they're with someone else, that's not gonna matter. Like the heart wants what it wants. But the heart and head are two different things. And like, see, one of the things is like whenever someone tells me how much they love their significant other and everything, it makes me want them even more. And like, so people of course thinks like that's nuts. Like, why would you, like be more into someone if they're telling you they love someone else? And I think it's, it's just that aspect of like loyalty and integrity, and not even loyalty, but integrity. I like integrity, you know? I like integrity a lot. I like people who do their own homework instead of using ChatGPT, or I like people who stay faithful in their relationships, who aren't going to be the one to end it and who want to try their best to make it work and stuff like that. Like, I value those things, and integrity matters a lot to me, you know? So I will, and I find myself constantly testing that in other people. And I never really thought like that would be like a terrible thing or anything. It's like it still feels, but the point is, it's interesting because just like suddenly today it made me like wonder though, like, and I've said this in the past about so many people I've been into who have been into other people at the time. I mean, let's not mention his name, but someone from about 3 years ago. And the fact that it's like, even though he had this other person, like he, not even other, this girl he was just starting to date at the time, but now all these years later, like he loves her. And for the time that I was into him, and I'm long over that, but for the time I was into him, the fact that he loved her that much and the fact that he constantly just wanted to make sure that, that relationship had the attention it required, like that made me want him even more. And so, of course, there was this whole back and forth of like, I think this girl reading my blog wondering why the fuck does she keep saying she loves him even though she keeps telling me she's over him. And I think that's what it was. It was just that he loved her so much that I fell more in love with him. It was so weird. And so that, of course, you know, like, and so like that's what I'm like. You know, like when a guy tells me how much he loves someone else and how much he wants to value that relationship and everything, it makes me want him more. At the same time, if he were ever to make a move on me while he's with someone else, it would completely defeat the whole purpose of it all, and I wouldn't be into him anymore. That integrity is lost, and I wouldn't want him anymore. So what does this all come up to? You know, like what's the point of investing time and being into someone you cannot have? And I realize it's just that feeling. It's good, you know? It feels good. Being in love with someone with integrity proves that I have good taste, I guess. You know, like when you have a pattern of dating just the wrong people, you know, not always, you know, some of them are pretty fantastic and then some of them were pretty shit. And so when you have a habit of falling for the wrong people, falling for the right people gives you a sense of comfort. Like, okay, you know what you're doing, you know, like you can trust your own decision making and everything. Like you can trust your heart again. That's what it is. And like, so I remember when my friend asked me, like, would you ever like, oh, be into someone? And I'm like, you know, here's what it is. It's, on the one hand, I want to say, like, yeah, I would never make a move on someone who is in a relationship, but if they made a move on me, I'd be like, see, I'm never gonna help a good guy cheat. You know, I'm never gonna help a good guy cheat. But a bad guy, well, he's already a bad person, so I don't care. At the same time, if a guy approached me while he had someone else, I would lose all respect and all, you know, like everything. And I wouldn't want to be with him anymore. So I wouldn't sleep with him. And I tried to tell her this, and she just looked at me like, what? But I think it was, you know, it took a whole lot longer to explain that night. And I think it was, I didn't exactly know how to articulate it the best. I feel like this, to some extent, like it makes sense, right? The logic, I'm not saying it makes sense as in this is a sane person talking. I know I'm insane. We're way past that. I don't give a fuck. But it makes sense as in like logically, like linguistically, like it makes sense to you, right? Yeah. Okay, good. Um I don't know why I'm like this, but I just am, you know? And so suddenly so many of my attractions from the past make so much sense, you know? So much sense. You know, the reason that Mr. 60%, I wanted him so goddamn much right up until he decided to kiss me back, even though he was into someone else. And that's the moment that I lost all feeling. Yep. And certain things like that, you know, like, or, I don't know, you know, like it just, or like the one time that my ex told me this other chick was into him, and I asked him, like, okay, what'd you say to her? And he goes like, well, obviously I told her I had a girlfriend. I'm like, okay, why do I care anymore? Like I don't care that she's into you. I care that you're so much into me that you were willing to let her know that, hey, I'm sorry, but I have a girlfriend. And that matters, and that made our relationship even stronger, in my opinion. I think it gave him so much freaking anxiety wondering what I was gonna say, and he thought like I was gonna be upset or something, and I wasn't. I mean, I don't know. But yeah, so that's the point. Like, the point is, I don't know. It's just how I function. And it's really strange thing, but it's just how I function. And yeah, it's just how I function. Weird. Interesting. and weird.